Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah Sullivan. Thank you so much for joining us. I am with the Lower Merion's Interschool Council, and tonight's webinar is part of our monthly parent education webinar series. We have some amazing panelists lined up for you tonight, and we're excited for them to share their wisdom with you. Just a few housekeeping items. First, this is being recorded. We will be posting the recording on the YouTube, on the Interschool Council's YouTube page. And because we have many panelists and a lot of people joining, if you don't want to see everyone on your screen and you just want to see whoever's talking, if you go to the top right, you'll see something that says view. If you hit view, you can just hit speaker, and then that will just show the person who's speaking instead of seeing everybody at all times. We know the transition after high school can feel exciting, overwhelming, sometimes a little bit uncertain. There are a lot of questions about what the right path is. What if I change my mind? What happens if my plan doesn't work out? So tonight's conversation is designed to help normalize those questions and give you real, honest perspectives from people who were sitting exactly where you and your children were not that long ago. So we're excited to be joined by a group of recent high school graduates of Lower Merion and Harriton High School. They're here not as experts, but as peers who are close enough to the experience to remember what it felt like, and far enough along to reflect on what's worked, what didn't, and what they wish they had known. So you'll hear about the practical side of life after high school, but also the personal side, like confidence, setbacks, adjusting expectations, etc. Our goal is for the students here to walk away feeling more informed and less pressured to have everything figured out, and for parents to gain insight to how best to support their students during the transition. I will also note that all of our panelists did go on to college after high school. We did talk to some former students who took other routes, but unfortunately their schedules didn't align to participate. But if you're interested in connecting with someone who went on to work or another route after high school, feel free to contact me. I'll put my contact information in the chat, and I'll be happy to put you in touch with them. They offered to, be in touch with anyone. So for tonight, we're going to start with brief introductions from each panelist, followed by a moderated discussion, and then we'll leave time for questions at the end. I encourage both the students and parents who are joining us to ask questions. If you're wondering it, chances are other people are. You can put your questions in the chat, and then we'll get to them at the end during the Q&A session. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. First, I'd like our panelists to introduce themselves, share where they went to high school, when they graduated, where they are now, and anything about their high school or college life that they want to share. So, John, I will let you go first.
Hi, so I'm John Chen, and I graduated from Harriton High School in 2025. Um, as of right now, I'm a freshman at the University of Pennsylvania in the Viper program, which is a dual degree program where I'm pursuing a degree in physics and material science. Um, and at Harriton, I did a lot of things, but I primarily focus around STEM. I was part of the school's Science Olympiad team. Uh, but on top of that, I also participated in varsity swim and varsity ice hockey.
Great, thank you. Dylan, can you go next?
Mhm. Hi, I'm Dylan Silberman. I went to Lower Merion High School and graduated in 2025, this past spring. I currently am a freshman at Elon University, which is in North Carolina, not too far from Raleigh. I'm a double major in strategic communications and digital content management with a minor in leadership studies. I'm also a part of my school's Leadership Fellows program, which is a 4-year cohort of students that um, pursue a leadership studies minor and go through the leadership education. At Lower Merion, I was very involved in Lower Merion Players, which was our student-run theater organization, as well as our student council, yearbook, and Amazing Ace, and many other things.
Thanks, Dylan. Zahira, you're up next.
Hello, I'm Zahira. I also graduated in 2025. and I'm majoring in electrical and computer engineering at Temple. And when I was at Harriton High School, I was involved in like many clubs. I was in BSU Black Student Union, NSBE National Society of Black Engineers, and I was also in cheerleading. And now at Temple, I'm mainly focusing on STEM as it relates to my major. I'm in NSBE because NSBE has a collegiate chapter as well as a chapter in high school.
Thanks, Ahira. Morgan?
Hi, I'm Morgan. I graduated from Harriton High School in 2024. So I'm now a University of Maryland sophomore studying chemical engineering. And in high school, I did like a variety of things. I was in like Girl Scouts. I also did varsity swim, and I also I was in like choir, but now I'm kind of more like STEM related. I'm in Society of Women Engineers, and I also do research for my professor's lab.
Thanks. And last but not least, Camille?
Hi, I'm Camille. I graduated from Harrison in 2025. I'm a freshman at Temple University and I'm studying mechanical engineering. In high school, I also did NSBE, National Society of Black Engineering. I was also part of cross country and track, and I became the captain of those teams later on. And I was also part of BSU. I did some part-time work in high school that I'm also doing now in college, but that's just like waiting.
Thank you. Very impressive group. So my first set of questions, and just to make it easier for you guys, I'm going to put it in the chat, is about your decision making of what you were going to do after high school. I thought I just put it in the chat. Oh, there it is. Okay. So questions are, what options were you deciding between? What helped you narrow down your choice? Did your plans change after graduation or once you started? And looking back, is there something that mattered less or more than you thought it would? So we'll go in the same order. John, you can go first.
Yeah, so I applied early decision to Penn, and very fortunately, I was accepted. So around December-ish, I kind of knew where I was going, and I was kind of locked in, so I didn't really have that many options from that point. But the reason why I decided to ED to Penn in the first place was because number one, obviously we're close to home, so that's a big benefit. But number two, in my high school summers, I did a summer camp there, and I did research in the astro department my junior summer. So I was acquainted with the resources they had there, as well as having a lot of friends who ended up there. So upperclassmen, just in general, like I had a lot of I feel like connections there that I thought that if I went there as a undergraduate student, I could utilize very well and get me ahead in that kind of aspect. Um, so obviously I luckily got in, and post graduation, not much changed. I mean, I had a long time to kind of prepare for it, so it kind of was as I expected. Obviously, it's a big change and everything, but it wasn't too much of anything. Yeah.
Great, thanks. Dylan?
I different from John, I did not apply ED to any school. I felt that that decision was too strong of a decision for me to like put myself into that position. So I applied to 8 schools, and I was in between very different schools actually. So Elon is approximately like 7,000 undergrad, but at the end I was in between there and Penn State actually. And you probably know, most of you, that Penn State is around like 40,000 undergrads. So very different programs. But I was very interested in going to a school that had a school of communications, which both Penn State and Elon had as well. So there was like academic advisors within the school, and as well as multiple majors within the school, so I could have more of a fit for my major. But ultimately, I ended up getting into the Leadership Fellows program, which really like changed the way I felt about where I was going to be headed. I narrowed it down because like honestly, I was just getting really anxious about making a college decision, which is perfectly normal, as I should make very clear. But it it ended up happening. My plans didn't really change much after graduation. I knew what I wanted to major in when I graduated, but I completed doing a 4-year plan in my academic advising session, and I was able to put in the double major, which was digital content management, into my schedule, as well as I knew that I was able to be doing um, a leadership studies minor, which is part of my fellows program. Um, I think that uh, looking back, I think that like I knew that I wanted a more smaller environment. That's like what mattered more to me, that I didn't realize what really mattered at that point. I don't think I could have sat in that 500-person lecture. Elon caps at 33 people per class. So I have a relationship with my professors, as well as I can actually like speak in class and ask questions, which I felt like I wouldn't be able to do at a larger school.
Thank you. Zahira?
I applied like initially, I applied regular decision to all of like the schools I applied to, and I mainly initially applied to many HBCUs, which were all out of state. And then I actually applied to Temple a little bit later once I started getting like financial offers back because something I didn't initially think about was the cost it would take to enroll into like out of state universities. So that was like what really narrowed it down for me, as well as not every place offered my major because most universities now have engineering, but I wanted to do like electrical and computer engineering. So not every place that I applied to initially had it. So I was kind of settling almost applying to some of the HBCUs I applied to. But yeah, what really narrowed it down was like the financial offers I got back because going to Temple, number one, it's in state, so it automatically costs a little bit less compared to some of the out-of-state HBCUs. But also I got a merit-based scholarship, so that combined made it like cost a lot less. So that was one of the deciding factors for me. My plans didn't really change too much after graduation because before graduating, I already knew where I was gonna go. And I had going from Harrison, they had like a tour of the campus, so I already knew that they had like a NSBE chapter there. And so I was like, you know what? There's gonna be some type of community that would be similar to an HBCU where they have NSBE and there's a large amount of diversity there. And something that mattered more to me than I realized was like the community. I didn't really think about community as much, like fostering it compared to going from high school to college. But like Temple has like a really great community and it's pretty social, so that's nice. So
Thanks. Just one follow-up question. You said you got a merit-based scholarship. Is that something you had to apply for? Is that something they just automatically gave you?
that's something that they automatically gave me, but I don't know if it's something like you have to make sure you fill out the Common App a certain way. And it's like you for the merit-based scholarship, you have to keep like a certain GPA and you have to be a full-time student. So it's not just you can do anything. You have to, and I got merit-based scholarships for like multiple universities, but um it was just offered. I think you could also apply to other scholarships. They open it up on like the portal afterwards.
Okay, great. Thanks. Morgan?
So I when I was applying to college, I knew I wanted to have a like a apply to a like bigger schools. So I applied to a lot of state schools and like more like bigger schools like that were varying from like 10,000 to like obviously like 40,000. Um, and I was applying to for chemical engineering as well as universities who offered the PharmD program, like the 7-year PharmD program. And I ultimately went with like a school that offered chemical engineering because that was because like I had more career options with chemical engineering, and that I think what narrowed down my choice to University of Maryland was the kind of the like the merit scholarship I got and also the distance away from home. So I was between UMD and Pitt, but Pitt is like over double the distance. So I decided to go with UMD. Um I think my plan didn't really change after graduation. I just, I keep sticking with chemical engineering, even though it's a hard major. But I think like looking back, UMD is like I would say like a lot more like di diverse than like a high school. So I think it mattered a little bit more because I was able to kind of um I was able to like join like cultural student associations that I might not have been able to in high school.
Great, thank you. And then Camille.
Yeah, I what for applying to colleges, I applied like early action for like all the colleges. And what was important for me was I kind of wanted like a bigger school, like a medium to bigger school, and I kind of wanted to be in a city to be able to get around because I wanted a really nice community aspect and stuff like that. And once the huge decision making factor for me was a financial aid offer because once I got that back, it really narrowed down my decisions because like my goal with the schools, because I liked all the schools I applied to and everything, some for different reasons and everything, but I knew in my heart no matter where I would go on my list, I would be happy. And then looking at the financial aid, I just chose like Temple. It was the best because one, it's in state, and like as you mentioned, like they have good merit-based scholarships and stuff like that. And being in states costs way less. And this year I'm living at home, but I'm not going to be always living at home. But housing is a huge factor in tuition because that like all the out-of-state schools I applied to, the just housing was like the cost of tuition itself, which was like crazy. And doing that is allowing me to pay like barely anything for school, which was really important to me. And I really enjoyed Temple overall because of the community, and that was important to me as well. And it's easy to get to, and my life hasn't changed too much at all. I still want to go to Temple after I graduated with everything, and I'm still liking my major as well.
Thank you. All right, next section just has two questions. I'm going to put them in the chat. See if I can, here we go. So this is about your kind of first 3 to 6 months after graduation, which is essentially leading you up until today. What was the biggest adjustment for you after high school? Was there anything that was different than what you expected? Anything that was harder or easier? And we'll go backwards order. So Camille, I'm going to throw it back to you now.
Um, the biggest adjustment I think is a lot of stuff is like I didn't even know a lot of my you're not reminded of a lot of work and stuff. Like I know I wouldn't be reminded of the work I have doing stuff like that or when test or something would do, but like it's a real big thing of like constantly having to be on that because like some things will like be quickly come up on you and you don't realize that or anything. Or just like making sure to like just take care of yourself, making sure you have like everything you need. Because sometimes you get really busy in school and you're like, oh, I forget some things that you have to do just for yourself and things like that. And really, it hasn't changed too much because I am traveling a bit more because I am commuting to school and everything. So that is a little bit of adjustment, but it's not too bad because I'm taking the regional rail, which is like about a 40-minute train ride to school. So that's not too bad. Um, some things are a bit harder with like all the school stuff is harder because the professors, they're there for you in every way. You just have to go and get help from them more directly if you have questions and stuff like that. You just can't like sit and expect the help to like come to you.
I'm sure that was a little bit different maybe than high school. Okay, done. I'm just gonna go, there we go. Morgan?
I think like the biggest adjustment for me after um, high school was kind of the rigor of classes. They're much quicker paced than in high school, and um, so you have to be able to prioritize like different. You have to prioritize classes, and you have to kind of juggle them around because no one's gonna, like make sure you're eating. No one's gonna like make sure you're doing your assignments. Nobody's like you have to do everything yourself. So I mean, I think that was the biggest adjustment and also like being away from home. And I think I would say that like the hardest part is like the classes just because I am engineering, so it was like quite a jump from um like high school classes to like college classes. But I think like after a little bit you actually do end up like getting to do your own schedule and you like get kind of used to it.
Thanks. Zahara?
I feel like everyone said this, but something that was like a really big change was having to advocate for yourself. Like compare I've K through 12 I was in like the Lower Merion School District, and for like the majority part of that I had an IEP. And so even like before I was in college, like submitting like my accommodations to school, I usually didn't have to do that because I had an IEP. It didn't matter as long as I'm in the school district, my information would just be shared. So having to submit that and like advocate for myself and having to plan my own test, the way Tempo does it is in the student center, there's disability resource office, and so if you have accommodations, you just take your test there, but that's something I wasn't used to. Usually you just have everything done for you. So having to like advocate for yourself with professors saying, hey, this is what my accommodations look like. When's a good time for me to take this test or quiz or stuff like that? That was like a major change because usually like the teachers in high school would just know that information. So of course these people don't know you, so it's different. Um, Also another hard thing, like everyone said, classes, it's set up really differently. Like the length of time you're in these classes is also different. Like you'll have calculus for like hours on end, and you just have to like be taking notes and like paying attention because everything like they're talking about is important, but it's just different. So yeah.
Thanks. Dylan?
Um, I think that being away from home is very different, especially because I'm in the South in North Carolina. Like the culture's very different than it is back in Lower Merion. I was used to being away from my family and my friends. I went to camp for many years of my life, so I was able to adjust to being away from people easily, but just being in a different environment was very different and kind of an adjustment for me. But obviously I had that built in like cohort of people in my leadership fellows, as well as I'm in a living learning community in my dorm, so it's something I applied to, and my floor is very close, so I and we had a class together, so I immediately had a connection with two large groups of people that I can connect with. I think that Lower Merion prepares you a lot for college. I took a lot of the college level AP classes in um, high school. But the structure of the classes are quite different. The teachers give you your syllabi on the first week, and it lists out everything that's due for the entire semester, which is very different than they have in high school. They put it out by week. The air conditioning just turned on. Um, it's also more spread out. You don't go for 7 hours straight at school. You have a break between classes where you kind of have to be independent, which I think was very different than high school. As someone said, like there's no structured block for lunch. You have to figure that out yourself. Um, and you also have more like independence and access. Like I I have friends that live a couple in a different dorm, a couple 100 feet away. You can just walk over to people, especially because I have a small campus. Um, you just have a group that you it's basically like having a family dinner every night, but it's with your friends, which you can't really have at home because you have to drive to your friends' houses and figure that out. But it's just like you're with people all the time. So it's quite different than high school in that sense.
Thanks. John? I'm sorry. Yes, John.
Yeah, so I would second everything everyone said so far. And I want to specifically emphasize that like not only do you have like a lot more freedom and like your class is different, but it's just like in general, I think your like whole life you have a lot more freedom and like what you can do with your time what you want to do and like what you see your own future as. Like for me, being at Penn, I have such like diverse crowds of people from all around the world, people trying to go in different directions with their life. And for me, like one big thing that has impacted me is how like seeing all these different stories and seeing that all these different directions they want to go, it like gets me thinking about like what do I actually want to do? Because like you come into college with like somewhat of an idea, or maybe not at all, of what you want to do, but then you like hear these different stories, and then you start to thinking about like, do I actually want to do this, or do I want to try this, try that, and then it depends on like the people you're around, but like you like sometimes you can get into like you can start like comparing yourself, and then it can go lots of different ways from there. But um, it can be overwhelming at times, but I think it's nice to stay grounded. Yeah. Um,
Thanks.
yeah, and the biggest change for me was that like you're kind of starting over again. Like in high school, when you graduate, you're kind of like the leader, you're the upperclassman, you're giving advice to the underclassmen. But now, like in college, you're the freshman, you're taking advice from everyone else, and you kind of lose that kind of like power or like status you had before. So you have to like learn to become humble with that and like learn to like listen to what the advice that everyone else is giving you, which can also be very overwhelming at times because like in college, you'll see people who like have done crazy things, who have gotten internships here and are working here, and you kind of have to like navigate through that yourself too.
Thanks, John. So just for the sake of time, the next set of questions, we're not going to go one by one. We'll loosen it up a little bit, and just whoever wants to answer those set of questions can, and then we'll move on to the next ones. So the next set of questions are about support and resources. So you guys touched on the first question a bit already, but how different is college from high school? How much support did you get, and where did you find it? And were there any resources that you utilize in high school or college that you found particularly helpful?
I can answer that. So, um, the main support I got was from my family because, like Camille said, we still both live at home and we commute. So, like, getting like support from your family and like getting advice from my family is really good. Like the year I graduated high school, my mom graduated getting her doctorate. So it's like she went back to school. So then she had some new things that I didn't know coming from high school. So it was like getting a lot of advice from her where she's also done higher education and stuff. And so that was really good support. And having my twin at school also helps a lot because if we need each other, we're both there. So that's always great. And resources that I really utilized in high school was my ISL classroom, which is instructional support lab, and like my teachers and like having to like learn differently throughout school, having them help me prepare also for college. And the resources that I really utilized are like NSBE at our college has study night. So, and because it's NSBE, it's National Society of Black Engineers, we all are having like hard majors. And because there's upperclassmen, some of them have already taken that course. So having that study night and having people there to be like, oh, I took calculus before, here I can help you with that, or I took intro to engineering or whatever. Here's some tips for the course because there's upperclassmen, there's people who are also in your classroom, so you can like have somebody to work on your project with. That study nights really helped in college, and just like building community through the clubs and stuff have really helped not make you feel alone, even though commuting can sometimes make it feel like you're separated. So
Thanks. Anyone else want to chime in on these questions?
Yeah. Uh, I would like to add that one big thing I would really push is relying on your peers and your friends because chances are they're also going through the same troubles that you are during the transition to college. So like if you're struggling here, talk to your friends because they're also probably struggling. So it's good to like relate and be able to talk it out. And yeah.
Thanks.
And I just want to
More,
say a quick thing is talk
yeah,
to
go
your
ahead.
those when you need help and stuff like that. Because like for my foundation mechanical engineering class, like I had like two major projects that would like do work like 30% and 20% of my grade. And like I was so confused. And talking to him, he got one of his upperclassmen to directly help me with the project. And then without asking, he helped give extensions too. Like your professor will definitely help you a lot when you need it. You just need to make sure to build that relationship and go to the office hours. Like I stay in the office hours, honestly. That's my biggest.
Yeah, also a bunch of libraries have, I know my school at least has a free tutoring program in that you can go to at the library, which is people that have taken the class before and have gotten, I think, A's, maybe B's in the class and have taken it before, and they offer a free tutoring program and they have taken it and they know what they're doing. They did very well, and they're there for you. So even if that's not exactly what you or your child's college has to offer, there always is some sort of tutoring program or some sort of help that you can receive, that will help you in your classes.
And have any of you used those type of resources? I remember, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in college, but I always was like, I don't think it's going to be that useful. I never really use them. And I'm always encouraged to hear when people use them and they were actually useful.
Nope.
I didn't first semester, but I was taking a bunch of intro level classes that didn't need me to, but as I think I can will continue my like the education, I'll need it more when I'm starting to struggle more in my
Yeah,
classes.
thanks. Camille, you wanted to chime in?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say I've used them because they've had like they have the same sessions at Temple and stuff like that. Or they have like some Zoom stuff with like one of my classes, they have like the TAs where you can zoom in with like the TAs at certain times, and that's super helpful. And you can ask them questions and get help with that, which I definitely use.
Thanks. And Morgan, not to call you out, but I think it was you when we were talking who said there was like a writing center. I don't know if it was at the high school or college that you utilized that you found useful. Was that you who was mentioning that when we spoke?
Oh yeah, I mean for I guess now it's a little bit late, but like in college, like a writing center was helpful for like um for like reviewing essays and stuff like that for for like the college essay, but also like in college like there's going to be a writing center for like your English 101. There's going to be like tutoring and um like for like these like specific programs or like your major classes, like there's always going to be tutoring that's like helpful to get through your like difficult classes.
Great, thanks. Okay, we're going to move on to the next section, which is about social and personal life. And it's really just one question. What helped you meet people or build community where you are now?
I can start this one off.
Great.
As I mentioned before, I had um, that built-in cohort of people. Most schools offer an orientation program within their first week, where it gives you a group of people that you can connect with. Mine happened to be my leadership fellows cohort, but if you're not in a program like that at Elon, you are with random people. And I know a lot of people that those people are like, they're the first people you meet on campus. It's your first impressions. And that's kind of how you start off and build people. You also, if you're living on campus in a dorm, you have those people, you have your roommate, you have your floor mates. As I said, I'm in a living learning community and my floor is very close. We hang out basically every night. Also, joining clubs is a huge thing that you can get involved in and you can like build a community. I did theater in high school, and so I wanted to stage manage when I got to high school, and not to high school, when I got to college. So I got involved in the student theater organization, and I ended up stage managing their fall play, Importance of Being Earnest. So I got to meet all of those people outside of my floor and my leadership group. Also, building relationships with people in your classes is very big because, especially people in your major, you'll be with them for many years. In my Com 1000 class, I'm sure that there will be people in that class that I'll be in many classes with throughout the next 4 years. So, especially at my school where the max, like it's probably like 25 to 35 people in each of my classes, doing projects with them and filming that and forming those relationships with those people is very important because um, like you don't necessarily need to hang out with them all the time, but you will be with them for the next 4 years. So starting off strong and building those relationships and that community is very important. And it helps you succeed because it you can talk to them about your courses and they can help you and you can help them. And ultimately it will help you both succeed.
I imagine being far away from home, those connections are even more important, right?
Yeah, you can't go home on the weekends and
Yeah. Anybody else want to jump into this one?
Yeah, for Temple, they made you like during orientation download the Suitable app, and on Suitable they uploaded like a whole bunch of activities, and I met so many of my friends during like there was like so many different activities. There was a comedy show, there was like a bingo day. It was like so many different events, and because everybody you could see like all the people there who had joined on the Suitable app, you could because everybody was there trying to make friends and stuff, doing those like it was like the week of welcome, doing all of those activities really helped you like get involved with people that maybe aren't in your major compared to like joining clubs and stuff. It was like the week beforehand, so meeting all different people and it was like a really helpful experience because even if you're a commuter student, even if you're living in the dorms, it doesn't matter. Like, even if you're not a freshman, because for Temple, you can also, there's campuses abroad. And I made a friend who was their first year in like the Japanese campus, but so they were also kind of a freshman because they were a freshman on the campus in Philly compared to like the one in Japan. So meeting all different people, regardless of age, through like the Suitable app and like the week of welcome activities definitely made it easier to foster community regardless of your major or anything like that.
Thank you. For sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next set. This is about mental health, stress, and well-being. There are 4 questions. Don't feel like you have to answer all 4. Just add whatever you think would be most useful. So this is around mental health, stress, and well-being. So did you feel pressure to have everything figured out, and how did you handle that? What caused the most stress during your transition? What helped you manage that stress or uncertainty? And what advice would you give to students who are feeling anxious about what comes next?
So I can answer this question, but so I think in my like fall semester freshman year of college, I was kind of really stuck in that I need to get perfect grades mentality in like as I did in high school. And I feel like because so I do have like a merit scholarship and I have to maintain a certain GPA, which is like not that much, but I feel like, in, my freshman year, I felt like that was like super important. I need to get like I need to I always had like this like catastrophizing mindset whenever like something didn't really go my way. I mean, one particular class, like intro to engineering design, like really was like stressful because I feel like I didn't know anything, and that's like kind of a little bit common um in college. So I mean, I feel like my like mental health was really bad because of that. Um, but like my school has like 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 a counseling center, and like so that's part of like the health center, and I'm sure many schools have that as well. So I think like reaching out and like going to like the counseling center like when you're really stressed, or when you're not feeling the best, is like a great way to kind of like vent out your frustrations, like vent out your stress, and um that's really helpful. And I think um like also like having like a good like community around you, like your friends, like relying on your friends, like because like like people in your major, like people like your friends are going through the same thing, so it's like you're so like you're not alone, and you should like rely on your friends and stuff, and like your resources that you have.
yeah, I think that my stress was more in high school rather than since I've been at school. I think that um, just like the environment of everyone going through the college process is very stressful because you have your friends and they're applying to schools and they're applying to the same schools as you and the different schools as you and they're getting in and you're not. And it's inevitable that you talk about your college process with people surrounding you in high school. And obviously, everyone knows that Laura Marion is an environment where it is talked about and everyone is pushed to like do their best. But I in high school struggled a lot with getting things on time. My parents, I had a private college counselor, so which helped me a lot with getting things in and kind of helping my relationship with my parents because I felt like if they were the ones pushing me to do things, then that would strain our relationship. So she was able to help me with stuff like that because obviously the counselors at Lorem, Arian, and Harrigan are great, but there's also 400 kids in each grade, at least at Lorem, Arian there is. So individually focusing on you is not an easy task. So I was able to have someone that was able to push me to submit my applications and submit for scholarships and do the best that I can without um, like stringing my mental health. I was able to submit all of my applications for college before I think November. Um, so it like everyone is going through the same process of you, but sometimes it's the people that are going through the same process as you that kind of make it more anxious for you because you feel the need to compare yourself to other people, but don't compare yourself to other people. Everyone takes their own path. Everyone has their own way of doing things, different majors, different ways of applying to college, different colleges that they're going to, different paths after college. I mean, after high school, if that is college. Um, so like just focus on yourself and that everything's going to be okay because it it will be.
Thanks, Dylan. For sake of time, so we have two more sets of questions and then we'll open it up for Q&A from the folks who are joining. Just a reminder for those who are attending, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You do not have to wait till the Q&A section. If you think of something and you're afraid you're going to forget it, just put it in the chat now and we'll get to it during the Q&A section. And you can ask it to the whole panel, or if you have a particular question for an individual panelist, you can direct your question to one or two people on the panel as well. So, okay, so next up is about parent support. So the questions are, what kind of support from parents were most helpful? And what support felt unhelpful, even if it was well-intentioned? Again, don't have to answer both. You could just answer one or the other.
I can answer this question, and it might just be on my screen, but I think the chat might be disabled. Um, like where I can type it in. One of the biggest things my parents did that was supportive was just like flat out supporting me. Like a huge thing they told me is like, no matter where you end up going to college, no matter what your major ends out to be, like we're here for you and you're going to support you. Like during my application when I was applying to colleges and stuff, like my mom, she's really good at writing, so I had to look over all my essays and stuff like that. And she was super helpful in that and she was supportive with that. And then submitting, like they cared about the schools I went, like they looked at schools I went to and they, they gave some opinions and stuff, but they weren't ever negative or anything about it. And they wanted me to do what would make me happy at the end of the day. And even when I got to Temple now, they told me if you ever decide you hate your major, you want to change it, you can. I love a major, I don't plan on changing it. But they've been very supportive and just saying what you want to do, we're here for, which is really good because that takes a lot of stress off of me because I'm not worried, well, I can't go to this college because my parents are going to be upset. And now I'm going to be upset because the huge thing is you need to be happy at the school you're going to because you're going to be there for like 4 years at least. And you need to be happy with where you're going and you need to be happy with the major you're in because if you're not happy, what are you going to do at the end of the day? So it's really good to have that. And yeah.
I could add to that a little bit. Some really good advice that my mom gave me is she went to Villanova for law school, so that's like close to where like the Lower Marion area. It's literally in there where we all graduate from. And she went to Villanova for law school and some great advice that she had said was it doesn't matter how long it takes you because she could only afford to pay for like a certain number of classes every semester. So it took her 7 years to graduate, but everybody at the end of the day gets the same diploma. And hearing that is like really positive to hear because sometimes the classes can feel really difficult. And realizing that everyone at the end of the day is going to get the same diploma, it's really nice to hear because sometimes even if you're falling behind or if you're having a hard time or if you're just hearing it from your parent that is successful that you are going to be ending up doing well is like it's happy to hear. And I think that's something like that was really keeping that mindset while in class, saying, you know what, even this is difficult, even if it takes me a different path to get to the same position, I can still get there.
I think we have time for one more to answer this if anybody wants to hop in before our last set of questions. All right, we can move on to the last set. So this is kind of practical advice. So what do you know now that you wish you knew a year or two ago? Are there any mistakes you made that you learned from, or one thing you're really glad you did? What's the best advice you received or ignored? And do you have any advice for current high school students or their parents?
Yeah, so I can start with this one. Um, so something that I think I really learned over this past year is that like what you're stressed about really depends on the people you're around and like the environment you're in. So like and for me like I think it's a really good idea to like sit down and like critically think about like why you feel a certain way and what's causing it because like oftentimes when you're really stressed about something it's because like you're in a bubble and you really like are limiting yourself and like you're being stressed for kind of no reason just because everyone else around you is. So I think it's really nice to like broaden your perspective because that makes you re think about like what things actually matter to you and if you're doing it because you actually want to or if just because other people are. And this is like kind of related to like the advice I received, and which is that like you shouldn't do something just because that's like the traditional path or like the system or like what's expected of you. Like I know for like all of us here, like living in Lower Merion, it's kind of expected for you to like, oh, you graduate high school and then you go to college, right? And then you go on from there. But it's like I think it's really good to like really sit down and think about like why you think it's worth it to go to college, put in the costs like put in the opportunity cost too, and then like and that helps you like think about like what you actually want to do instead of what people expect you to do. And um, this kind of also goes with my advice for current high school students, which is that like obviously you want to think ahead, you want to plan ahead, you want to think long term instead of just short term. But like being a high school student, like based on like what I saw, like there's so much stress around like college and stuff that like it's not your entire life's purpose in high school. Your entire life purpose is not just to go to college. Like really try to do something meaningful to you. And in the process, maybe you end up going to college for that. But like I think it's really important to explore what you are passionate about, because that will help you and that might also help you get into college. But it's like don't base everything around just college this, college that. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
just
can.
add one thing. Oh,
You,
sorry. You want to go?
no, you
Okay.
go.
I just want to say, like, the schools does really good job at like preparing you at least education wise for like for my freshman semester and everything. I'm doing like mechanical engineering as my major and everything. So like I have some STEM. I'm like in like calculus and physics class and stuff like that. And just like I've taken AP classes in high school, but I believe even if you took the honors classes, it does a good job at preparing you for that information. And I think even doing the AP class will do another step in that. It will prepare you for like what you will be learning and then the kind of the workload and how fast it will be. So like it's really nothing to like worry about like, oh, will I be able to do this in college and stuff like that? Like I don't know if I can handle all this stuff. Like Harriton did a really good job at preparing me for college and like the level of education I had and like I was able to go into like my like first month of classes and stuff like that, not really worried because of the foundation I got in from high school and
Thanks. Camille, Dylan, before you hop in, Camille, I just want to prompt you for one of the things when we talked previously about advice you have for current students. You mentioned
Oh,
something
yeah.
about scholarships that I didn't know. Would you mind just adding that? Do you remember what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
not exactly.
You said that you could ask for more money than
Oh
what they
yeah,
give
so
you
that's the
initially.
cutest thing about yeah, so applying for financial aid, like they'll give you a package and everything. I'll just ask for more money because like it does not hurt to ask for more money at all. It's a quick, simple email, or you could call over the phone, and that could result in you getting like a couple thousand more, and that could definitely help you in deciding a school because that was a major factor for me deciding because I wanted to be debt free. I did not want to take out any loans. I did not want to pay a lot of money out of pocket or anything like that. That's something I want to do. Everything's different with other people, but I just know I just quick email to the school, and I think all the schools got similar emails. I did a little sob story. You don't have to do a sob story, but it helps and stuff like that, explaining a little bit of a background. It's after I already applied, and it was just helpful in just getting a bit more money afterwards because you already accepted. And often after you applied, it's like it's kind of weird. Some people are not going to go, but they already have some money was for students going. So they're like, okay, we need to get rid of this money, so we'll give more to another student and stuff like that. So I definitely suggest asking for more money because it does nothing but help.
Yeah,
That was
I
advice I wish I had 20 plus years ago.
yeah, I had the same situation.
Mhm.
I was able to get Elon and other colleges to match the money that other schools gave me. So I was able to get a grant from Elon in addition to the scholarship that I'm on to match another what another school gave ended up giving me. Um, your most schools have like a college count like a admissions counselor that is just for your area. So Lowering and Harriton, they have the admissions counselors that go and they do the sessions at the schools and it's info sessions. Keep that business card, and you can continue to reach out to those people because, like especially Elon, there's not that many people from Pennsylvania, so she doesn't have that many people that she is doing it. But she was getting emails from me and my dad that were like, "Are you able to match this scholarship that X university gave? This is a top choice for Dylan. It would be really beneficial for us." So just doing that and knowing that it's possible is definitely a big thing.
Thanks. Okay, I think we can move over to the Q&A portion for those that are joining us. Feel free, I know we've already gotten one or two questions in the chat. Feel free to put any questions that you have for the panelists in the chat, and I'm going to pass it over to Talia, who's going to facilitate the Q&A.
Okay, so far we only have one question in the chat, so we're going to go ahead and start with that, and others can just put them in right now. It's open, problem solved. So the first question is, do the freshmen have ideas on what type of jobs or companies they're aiming for after college, and what type of internships are they planning to attend this summer? And I think that's open to anybody, so whoever wants to grab it.
I can cover this. I don't currently have any plans for internships this summer. I'm back working at my camp, but um, at my school, Elon requires you to either double major, do research, get an internship, or study abroad. So you have to, and I think there's one more, but you have to do one of those things in order to graduate. Especially in the comm school, you have to have an internship in order to graduate. It is in the catalog that you have to do in order. Um, so a lot of schools have like resource centers, like business resource centers that will able to get you internships and jobs. I know that we have like a job network website that I can always check, and I can see on campus employment, but I can also see internships and paid jobs that are happening in the future, and just building relationships with like your professors. And I'm very big on building up my LinkedIn so I can figure things out and get those connections in the future. So no, I don't have something lined up for this summer, but I do have to have an internship. A lot of places have campuses in other places. There's a communications program in LA with Elon, and you can study abroad and do internships. So basically every college has a lot of access that can help you get those internships and jobs, whether you're in college or post college.
I
Um,
said that. I'm sorry.
sorry. Okay. I want to add to the STEM side of things, which is that being an engineer and a scientist, a lot of people in their undergraduate years will push for maybe like a lab position or to do research. I know that's something that's becoming more prevalent, especially like at like Penn. I know a lot of like classmates of mine who already like did a lot of cold emailing and like have found secured like a work position or like a lab position for the summer. I know that for like engineers and like mechanical engineers, um, at my school, people usually start applying to like companies for internships maybe their sophomore year. I know like I have friends and classmates who like apply to like Tesla, SpaceX, those sort of companies and have heard back from them. And then they work at wait, they intern there for maybe like 2 years, maybe get a return offer or something like that. But like I think the biggest advice when it comes to this is I would ask your upperclassmen peers because you know they're in that spot and see kind of what they're going through.
Well, I'm not a freshman, but I do have an internship position this summer in Washington State. Um, and I think my like biggest advice is to utilize your career services, career center, y and I was able to get like hired on the spot at a conference that I went to for Society of Women Engineers. So I would say um like join like professional organizations and stuff in college, and like they'll be able to get you these opportunities, like these networking opportunities, and like and also like start applying early so you can network, so like therefore you can get like an internship position.
Great. Thanks, guys. We're going to move on to the next question. Let's see here. When would you recommend preparing your college essay? That's open to anybody.
I don't know if this is just at Harriton, but one of like the last assignments for juniors, I had Miss Donzi. I don't know. She's a teacher at Harriton High School, and one of like the last assignments was for you to work on your senior, like not your senior essay, like your college essay. Like that was one of like, and I don't know if that's for every course, but that was like one of the last assignments that you would do, and she would look over it and like give you critiques and everything and help you with that. So that was like a required assignment that you do. So I don't know if that's for every
Yeah, we had
class or if
that
it was
in
just for that.
AP
That's
Lang
amazing.
at the end of the year.
Mhm.
Um, Mine was already done. I had mine done really early, before junior year even started, but that's just me being insane. But you definitely don't need to do it that early. There are many opportunities during junior year to have it done. I would just have it done before senior year so you can just start applying, and it's a more efficient process.
Yeah, I would just do it sooner because a thing that's different for the college is like the supplementals is really because the essay you send out to everybody, you want to make sure that's good because like that's possible and stuff like that. And but the supplementals that just takes a bit more because some schools are a little bit similar, but other ones are different. And some people apply to a lot of schools, so it's important. You want to have that time to write your supplementals, not be stressed about it because they're also like your first semester, your first couple months of senior year, and that's the only time I cared about my grades in senior year was the first bit because that's the only grades that mattered for me really. So I just say a little sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I just want to specify that like I think when we're saying like start earlier, I think the biggest thing is that like you should start maybe brainstorming earlier because like the sort of prompts that you're gonna get from colleges are pretty much all the same, and I don't think it's a bad idea like at any time to like really reflect on your life and like think about why you are the kind of person you are. But like don't stress too much about like starting to write or everything. I think the biggest time that you spend in the application like the writing process is the brainstorming. So like maybe like I don't know, like whenever you have time, just take a look at like the prompts, the Common App prompts, look at maybe some supplementals of some schools you want to go to. Just like think, just have those prompts in the back of your mind so you can start thinking about like what's meaningful to you in your life, how you are, why you are the way you are. But like I wouldn't really stress like writing too early because I think that will make things a little too stressful.
Okay, thanks, guys. Next question. I'm not sure if this was talked about, but I'm wondering if working out or exercise is something that any of the students have done to help manage stress.
Yeah, I would say that's really important. I did cross country and track throughout high school and everything, and running was always good for my mental health. And even now, it's good. If you have time, it's hard to find the time, honestly, because school's a lot. Like you're gonna be studying or doing homework a lot, but when you have the time, just like running for me is always great for my mental health. I'm able to decompress and fully release it. And it's good for your body because often you're just sitting down or doing schoolwork. So I think it's something definitely beneficial, but it's just about finding that time. And for me, it's kind of hard to find the time a lot.
Yeah, I haven't had
Animal.
much experience like working out in college, but definitely, especially when it's nice out, just going outside and getting fresh air is always good to make you better mentally and physically. Your first time in college is hard on your like immune system, no matter where you go. It's living with other people. So just like getting fresh air into your system is always something that is beneficial for you, and drinking a lot of water, obviously.
Oh, I fully agree. I would say for the when your school's warm, go outside. If you have like places you can do work outside, Temple, like for the first like few months, I was like outside doing my homework whenever possible. Because like I have to do my homework anyway, might as well be outside and enjoy it. And then when it's warm again, do it again. Definitely agree with what.
Great advice. Thanks, guys. Okay, next comment is thank you so much. This has been really insightful. And the next question is, if you go back to senior year to experience or do something differently, what would you do?
I'd say really listen to like the advice that people give me because something that I didn't really think about, I got like imposter syndrome where like my mom told me this, but I didn't really listen to her at the time. No school is going to accept you if they don't think you can graduate because it, as much as having like a low acceptance rate looks good, if nobody is graduating, it doesn't look good. So they're not going to enroll you into like the school unless they think you can also graduate after you're enrolled. So like listening to the advice from other people and also maybe applying to more scholarships because for me, like the deciding factor on like where I attended was like the financial aspect of it, listening to like where I could apply to scholarships earlier and like listening to the advice of other people who are already attending college.
Great, thank you. And the last question is, how important was the SAT for your admission? Knowing what you know now, is it worth doing SAT prep? If yes, any recommendations for prep SAT?
Temple, the SAT, it was optional. I think most schools are optional. I believe I did submit my SAT. Some schools I did, some schools I didn't. Um, and I think that does help with your merit scholarship. I'm not too sure. It doesn't hurt you at all. I know not submitting SAT won't hurt you in any way at all if you don't choose to submit your SAT, but I do believe it could possibly help more with your getting a merit scholarship. I say just look at each school individually and see if it does. But I don't think it was too much important because I know a lot of people who got in without applying to SAT, without the SAT. I think I actually didn't apply with my SAT. It was just based on my grades and stuff like that. Other schools I did apply with my SAT, but Temple I didn't, and I got in, and it wasn't too much of a worry. I didn't take any SAT prep at all. And I was fine, but that could be different for other people. But I don't think it matters. I wouldn't worry too much. I would study and work for it, but I wouldn't let the SAT be like dictate however it is. Like you didn't get the like a 1600, now like everything's ruined. Like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I took the ACT, which is a different test, but it's practically the same thing. And I did do test prep, but it's basically just figuring out, it's like a puzzle to figure out like what those standardized tests are looking for. It's not really about really knowing the content. It's more about like preparing like what you find. And um the way my college counselor like sorted, I had a spreadsheet and you can look at like the middle 50% of students at each college that you're looking at and the SAT scores and the ACT scores and the GPAs of the people that attend that university. And that can help you figure out whether or not you want to submit your SAT or ACT or not. Um, as she said, like it doesn't hurt you to not submit it. I think I did end up submitting it for maybe most of my schools. But then again, it was optional for a bunch. But I know that now that we're more past COVID, a lot of schools are now making it that you have to submit it. So it's ever changing. But
Yeah, I just want to qualify that like once again, like we are not admissions officers, so we can't fully state everything like that happens in the process. On top of the fact that like things are changing, and I know that a lot of schools like the Ivy League is requiring them test scores again. So, um, but personally, I would say on the subject of like prep and like going to like a prep class or something like that, is that like number one, this only do it if you really think it's important, which personally I don't think so, but like obviously people have different ideas. But on that, I would really say that like these classes are only helpful if you're maybe below like the 1300 range, I would say. Because I think if you're above that, like the classes aren't really going to teach you as much as if you just like sit down and take a practice test and like study it yourself. I know that like it can be a lot of time and money. And I have friends who maybe the first practice test got like a 1500 and then they took the class. Like I do personally believe that that might have been a waste and not really necessary. So just make sure you know like if you really do care about it, you like think about whether it's worth it or not.
I think that's the end of our questions, right, Dahlia?
Yes, that's the end of our questions.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone who joined. I want to thank our panelists. You guys, every time I talk to you, impress me and have such good insight. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with everyone on the call. And as I said, we are recording this, so we will be posting it on the YouTube channel for ISC. And keep a lookout for an announcement about our next parent education webinar in February. And with that, I'll say good night. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
guys, thank you so much. You did an awesome job.